$200,000 speech. We're up to $3.5 million today, but I hope we make it up to 10. Maybe that's a bit ambitious, but I think we can do that. And this is kind of crunch time. He's going out there. He's going to battle on all these different states. We don't agree on much about Ron Paul, but we agree on these three things right here. We're kind of argumentative types. We argue, oh, the Second Amendment actually only had one amendment, one comma to start out with, and did you know the Bill of Rights has its own separate preamble that makes it the strongest part of the Constitution? Things like that. But anyway, thanks so much for giving it some more. Now we have, from the John Birch Society, the most strident defenders of these documents. We have the coordinator. And then we have the president speaking, John McManus. But first here is Hal Shurtleff, the coordinator of the John Birch Society. Hal.
Show of hands, who plans to be at the inauguration of Ron Paul? I'm very honored to be part of this program, and very honored to be part of the Ron Paul meetup group. And I'm also honored to share the stage with two, in my opinion, the greatest men that ever lived, George Washington and John Adams. And I think that our city fathers will have to have room for a Ron Paul quote to be sung. I've been involved in this Ron Paul meetup just for about 3 or 4 months, and I've met some fantastic people. I read a critique online that says that Ron Paul meetup people are scary. Well, you folks are pretty friendly to me, but if I was a totalitarian, I'd be petrified. I was particularly impressed by a lot of people, but 2 people in particular. Joe Urinek from Dorchester. He's a fellow Bostonian. He stands in St. Louis. Started the Ron Paul meetup. He was going, I'll take the leadership. Imagine something like this in Boston. And a young lady by the name of Corey Whalen. I was so impressed by this young lady. I think we should give her a big applause. It just shows the diverse people that are attracted by the message of freedom. Ron Paul was recently interviewed. He said, I am flawed. Could you imagine a politician saying that they're flawed? He said, but the message isn't flawed, and this is what appeals to me. The author of this document called the U.S. Constitution. In Article 2, already mentioned by one of the other speakers, is a job description for the President of the United States. That description does not include the most powerful man in the free world, nor does it give him the right to vote for change. We hear about change. Well, we want back to basics, not so much change, but back to the Ron Paul was asked about his views, and he said basically the President of the United States is supposed to be very limited. He only has about 6 or 7 powers or duties. Congress is where most of the power resides. Now, what will you do after the inauguration? You go back to your jobs, you'll be watching football on Sunday afternoons now. What will you do? The work was just begun. Because good Americans stopped taking this seriously. We stopped paying attention to what Congress is doing, with few exceptions, like Ron Paul. Now, when you, our magazine we put out called The New American, we track the voting records of members of Congress using a strict constitutional guideline. Ron Paul gets 100%. Bernie Sanders votes to the right of most Democrats and Republicans. We call this the Sandinista Index. Now, our founders were very wise and they gave us this Constitution. They make Congress, specifically the House of Representatives, the most powerful branch, the people's branch. Every 2 years, we can have this non-violent revolution at the ballot box by voting for people who share Ron Paul's views. We don't want Ron Paul to be all alone on Capitol Hill. He needs a constitutional majority. And this can be done relatively simple. I'll quickly explain. There are 435 congressional districts. By the way, do you all know who a congressman is? Oh, I should say the man or woman who represents our district. Ron Paul is our congressman. He's the one, but the person represents your district. Most people don't even know who that person is. And they're the ones making the most important votes in Congress. 435 members of Congress. A constitutional majority is 219. There's about 650,000 people in each congressional district. Half of those people are eligible to vote. Out of that figure, half are registered to vote. And out of that figure, if it's not raining out, those folks are going to vote. And out of that figure, only a small percentage make a difference. So we're talking about maybe 65,000 people in a congressional district. If 10 or 20 or 30 people in each congressional district made an effort to help educate and inform their fellow citizens, it would be enough to get people like Ron Paul in Congress and stay there. That's Ron Paul is called Dr. No, but to me, he takes an oath to defend and protect the Constitution. And by the way, I served in the U.S. military, and I took the same oath, a simple one. That oath is a lifetime oath. It never ends until I die. So, I'm supposed to dump, there's nothing here, I want to dump the UN. Does anybody object to that? Not to reform it, but to get out.